Memorizing something like this is not easy unless one understands well what he is attempting to memorize. So let's make some sense out of this cost of sales computation. Let's say you bought 50 bars of a certain chocolate from a grocery store intended for your personal consumption. But after eating 10 bars, you thought of making business out of chocolates. So you invested the remaining 40 bars at the beginning of this month in your small business. Those 40 chocolate bars comprise your store's merchandise inventory at the beginning of this month in terms of bars or pieces. After a few days, you purchased online 100 bars in behalf of your business. Those 100 bars are your store's purchases, again in terms of number of bars. Upon closer inspection, however, you notice that 2 of those chocolate bars are of a different kind. So you return the 2 bars to the seller. Those 2 bars are your store's purchase returns, which decreased the 100 bars you had purchased to 98 bars. The 98 bars are considered as net purchases. When you add the 98 bars to the 40 bars at the beginning of the period, what do you have? Of course, your store at that point has 138 bars. But how would you describe those 138 bars? The number of chocolate bars which your store can sell, or the number of goods available for sale. Let's assume further that at the end of the month, you counted the remaining chocolate bars in your store, which as per your counting, totaled 65. What is the 65? The remaining chocolate bars at the end of the month, or the merchandise inventory end of your store in terms of number of bars. Your store had 138 bars available for sale, but by the end of the month, only 65 remained. What happened to the difference? Hopefully, you did not eat them. What happened to the difference of 73? You sold them. Therefore, the 73 can be described as goods sold or number of goods sold. But as you already know by now, just based on the definitions of accounting, information must be expressed in financial terms, in terms of money, not just number of chocolate bars. So let's assume you purchased the chocolates at 150 pesos each. This merchandise inventory beginning must be 6,000 pesos. That is 40 chocolate bars multiplied by 150. These purchases must be 15,000 pesos. That is 100 multiplied by 150. These purchase returns must be 2 bars multiplied by 150 equals 300, making net purchases equal to 14,700 pesos. That is purchases of 15,000 less purchase returns of 300. Net purchases of 14,700 add to the merchandise inventory beginning of 6,000 equals 20,700. Since this 20,700 is already in terms of money, better describe it now as not just goods available for sale, but as cost of goods available for sale. Merchandise inventory end must be 65 bars multiplied by 150 pesos equals 9,750. Deduct merchandise inventory end of 9,750 from the cost of goods available for sale of 20,700 and we get 10,950 worth of goods sold. Because this 10,950 is in terms of money, we can describe it as not just goods sold, but as cost of goods sold or cost of sales. As additional information, let's assume that when you purchase the 100 chocolate bars online, your store shouldered the transportation or delivery cost from the seller to your store, which amounted to 400 pesos. That 400 pesos is known as freight in from your store's viewpoint, being the buyer or purchaser. Obviously, the 400 pesos freight in is an additional cost to your store's purchases. That is the reason why freight in is added to purchases. When freight in is added to the purchases account, the resulting amount is what we may call as cost of goods delivered. Let's assume further that your store purchased the chocolate bars on account, which was subsequently paid within the discount period, and therefore your business was able to avail of the cash discount of 1%, which is equivalent to 147 pesos, computed by multiplying 1% or 0.01 by 150 pesos and then multiplying the product again by 98 bars, not 100 bars, because 2 bars were returned, remember? That 147 pesos from your store's perspective is known as purchase discount, which obviously again, like purchase returns, decreased what your store needed to pay for the purchase of the chocolate bars. It decreased the cost of goods delivered. That's why it is shown here as a deduction from the cost of goods delivered. And because there are 2 items now which decreased the cost of goods delivered, the amount of each of these 2 items, purchase returns and purchase discounts, must be written not under this cost of goods delivered on the second money column, but on the first money column. Only the sum of these 2 items is extended to the second money column. This amount now, minus the cost of goods delivered of 15,400, would give us net purchases of 14,953. Add this amount of net purchases to this merchandise inventory at the beginning equals cost of goods available for sale amounting to 20,953. Then, less merchandise inventory at the end of 9,750 equals 11,203 pesos cost of goods sold or cost of sales. Since purchase allowances are normally included with purchase returns in one account name, let's add end allowances here. Let's recap how we arrived at this amount of net purchases. Purchases of 15,000 pesos, add freight in of 400 pesos equals cost of goods delivered amounting to 15,400. Less purchase returns and allowances and purchase discounts of 447 equals 14,953 net purchases. That is the reason why, as you can see here, these items from purchases up to purchase discounts are all indented and not aligned with this add net purchases. Each of these items is part of the computation of net purchases, and hence all of them are indented under this add net purchases. Now that you have proper understanding of each of these terms in Note 2, as well as why we add an item to or deduct it from another, knowing by heart the computation of this cost of goods sold or cost of sales will be a lot easier.